security, they continue to publicly repeat information that is inaccurate and misleading. This is no longer simple misunderstanding. At best, DHS fundamentally misunderstands Minnesota's correctional system. At a minimum, this reflects systemic data management inadequacies or incompetence as it relates to DHS tracking of detainers in custody. At worst, it is pure propaganda. Numbers released without evidence to stoke fear rather than inform the public. I'm here today because we believe Americans and Minnesotans deserve the facts. The Department of Corrections operates state prisons. We do not operate county jails. We do not operate ICE detention facilities. We do not decide who receives an ICE detainer. When DHS conflates the processes and procedures of state prisons, county jails, and ICE detention into a single talking point, the result is misinformation. That is what we're correcting today. DHS has repeatedly claimed that there are more than 1,360 individuals with ICE detainers in Minnesota custody. Despite requests, DHS has provided no data source, no tracking methodology, no jurisdictional breakdown, and no time frame explaining how their numbers were produced. We have asked to come together around the data. We have received no answer. At this point, DHS is asking the public to trust a number it refuses to explain. Since we can't wait for DHS to come out with an explanation anymore, we conducted a point-in-time survey of county jails across the state. That survey showed that there were 94 individuals with ICE detainers in Minnesota county jails. In Minnesota state prisons, there are 207 individuals with active ICE detainers, exactly as we have consistently stated. That total is 301 individuals, nowhere close to the 1,360 DHS has publicly discussed. That is a discrepancy, obviously, of about 1,000 people. We do not know where this additional 1,000 people are coming from or where they may be. Perhaps it's a typo. It may be an internal federal database problem. It may be that DHS does not actually know who it picked up from Minnesota DOC custody, because we are seeing them claim that they arrested people they picked up from our prisons through our cooperation in the last few months. What we do know is this: DHS's claims do not match Minnesota records, Minnesota court data, or basic jurisdictional realities. If any media outlet here is able to get DHS to explain their number, we would welcome it, because we have been unable to do so. I cannot speak for them, but I do know that numerous Minnesota county sheriffs are equally puzzled. Now, some Minnesota sheriffs are being thrown under the bus by DHS as being uncooperative, which is simply not true. We've reviewed every single DHS person that DHS has publicly named, and here's what we found. Many individuals were never in Minnesota DOC custody at all. Several have no Minnesota court or prison records whatsoever. Some had short stays in Minnesota county jails. Some are in custody in other states. Many were released directly to ICE, including cases going back to 2009, 2001, even into the 1990s. In some cases, DHS publicly implied Minnesota recently released individuals who were transferred to ICE years ago or decades ago. In some cases, after DOC released people to ICE officials, ICE released them back into the community, and they are now subject to correctional supervision in accordance with their court-imposed sentence. So as you can see, this is not some policy disagreement. We have no idea what records they are working from, because they seem to have serious records problems. And frankly, that should concern all of us. Now let me run through an example of what we're dealing with. Just this morning, federal officials said the releasees that were turned over to them by the DOC are not included in Operation Metro Surge or worst of the worst releases. Yet here is an example. On Monday, January 12th, the Department of Corrections coordinated with ICE to release 2 individuals who had detainers against them and were released into their custody. The names of these individuals are Meng Kong Yang and Joshua Fornow. When Mr. Yang and Mr. Fornow came into DOC, we let ICE know that they were here. Because we shared this information in accordance with state law, ICE was able to put detainers on both of them. As is the case for every single release where there is an ICE detainer in place, we contacted them weeks before the individuals reached the end of their prison term. We contacted ICE and let them know that, and we coordinated pickup arrangements with them. So on January 12th, an ICE officer arrived at our prison, and we allowed them into the Sally Port, where they took custody of both individuals. Dedicated DOC staff helped carry out these individuals, carry their property out for the agent. We'd like to play just a few seconds of video to show that transfer of custody taking place on January 12th. We also will show a screenshot here of the DHS press release. Now, as we are seeing numerous other cases, as we are seeing in numerous other instances, both of these individuals, Mr. Yang and Mr. Fornow, ended up on DHS's January 13th press release with them insinuating that they were released individuals, released into the community, specifically saying that they were, and I quote, criminal illegal aliens arrested yesterday during Operation Metro Surge. These people were transferred, their custody was transferred from the DOC directly to them. They were not picked up in the community as is implied. I will admit it feels a little absurd even showing a video like this to all of you, but truth matters, facts matter, and if we're going to move forward and accomplish our shared mission of public safety, we will need to acknowledge what is real and what is not. Today, ICE official Marcos Charles, during a press conference briefing, said the governor should direct county jails to honor ICE detainment. The statement that the governor controls the actions of county jails is patently false. In fact, the actions, as we've discussed, sheriffs who have been fully cooperative are now being accused of themselves being non-cooperative with ICE. State law requires us to notify ICE when a U.S. citizen and a non-U.S. citizen enters our custody, and we fully comply with that requirement. So again, despite what they're putting out, the DOC does comply with ICE detainers, and we're pleased that this morning they acknowledged that reality. As a matter of policy, even though the state does not require it, we honor every ICE detainer that is issued, and it is ICE alone who decides whether to issue a detainer. ICE decides whether to assume custody of a person upon their release from prison, and through the federal immigration processes, there is a determination made about whether they are deported or released back into the community. And the Department of Corrections is not involved in any of that. When ICE determines that they want to assume custody of an individual in DOC custody, DOC staff coordinate with local ICE officials to facilitate the safe transfer of custody. This occurs every time, without exception. Furthermore, neither the Department of Corrections or county jails are permitted to retain custody of a person beyond their release date or contrary to judicial order including the satisfaction of bail conditions. So here's what we ask. If DHS believes we failed to honor a detainer, we ask that they identify the specific case so we can address it. We have not found a single instance of process failure in our review of the records and the names provided to us by ICE. Absent that, continuing to point out unsupported numbers is reckless and irresponsible. Unfair, I would add, to what the processes are in Minnesota and exactly what many Minnesota sheriffs across our state do. The false information does not reflect the day-to-day work and collaboration of committed staff of the Department of Corrections, county jail staff, and local ICE agents who routinely make regular arrangements for custody transfer when a person has completed the custodial portion of their sentence. We stand ready to work with DHS the moment they are willing to work with us. We need to align facts and the operational realities before we can solve whatever problem they think exists. This should not be controversial. Facts matter. So in the interest of transparency, Minnesota will continue to correct the record as long as DHS continues to distribute false information that has the effect of undermining public confidence. And with that, I would open it up for any questions people may have.